The Russo brothers' recent directorial effort even fell short of Zack Snyder's critically panned Netflix IP. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Despite having a long-standing history in the realm of CBMS, Zack Snyder and the Russo brothers couldn't be more distinct with their approach to the medium. Unlike the Endgame filmmakers, who have mostly excelled within the MCU's studio-driven template, Snyder is notable for his distinct visual style. Although Snyder too had it rough with his last two directorial features at Netflix, which were penned by fans and critics, interestingly, the numbers for Rebel Moon blow the Russos' work out of the water in the aftermath of their CBM ventures. Both Zack Snyder and the Russo brothers found their footing at Netflix. Although the Russos are returning to their roots with the upcoming Avengers releases, their recent directorial effort at Netflix, The Electric State, hasn't quite lived up to the expectations. While the numbers for its entire debut week remain a bit clouded, it's just a fraction less than the total viewership of The Electric State in its first week, which stands at 25.2 million viewers, via the New York Times. Moreover, Rebel Moon's RT score of 30% also towers over The Electric State's 15%, as of writing, which even falls short of Rebel Moon 2's 16% rating. Unfortunately, his impeccable knack for visuals has often backfired due to Snyder's insistence on making every frame cool, which was more apparent with his Netflix original Rebel Moon and its sequel. But despite Rebel Moon Part 1's underwhelming reception, the movie did open to impressive numbers, as within its first 3 days, the film amassed a reported 23.9 million views, via THR. I hear Feige and Marvel are getting worried after seeing how bad The Electric State is and are starting to reconsider whether rehiring the Russos was a mistake. But unlike Snyder, who has moved on from the CBM space, the Russo brothers are marking their return to the superhero landscape with the upcoming Avengers releases. But given the lukewarm reception to their recent directorial effort, per Scooper, My Time to Shine H, the suits at Marvel, especially Kevin Feige, are reportedly a bit skeptical about the directing duo's upcoming MCU venture, via World of Real. With a year still to go, it's too early to say anything, as this isn't the Russo brothers' first directorial mishap outside of the MCU. But with Feige at the helm, it'll be interesting to see if they can turn things around with Doomsday and Secret Wars. The Electric State is available to stream. Veteran director Zack Snyder, who showcased Doomsday in Batman v Superman, might just be a genius as this theory turned out to be true. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The world waited in anticipation when Zack Snyder released the 2016 DCU film Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Starring Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck in leading roles, the film was a roaring success. Well, they weren't wrong, as Darkseid did appear in several key moments in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Although the DCU set up a potential future where Darkseid returns, it wasn't as nearly as good as Zack Snyder's love for Doomsday. Fans had an idea that Darkseid was like the big bad baddie in DC Comics as Thanos was in Marvel Comics. Naturally, fans also assumed that the whole point of the DCU was to bring in Darkseid and have the Justice League fight the main antagonist. Alongside Lex Luthor as the antagonist of the film, Batman v Superman also featured the Kryptonian monster Doomsday. Although the fans were more excited for Darkseid in the DCU, it seems that they were wrong. Originally known as The Ultimate, an alien scientist called Bertrand released an infant into the wildness of Krypton, which was uninhabitable at the time. The baby died instantly. His body was collected and data was retrieved from his genes. The process kept on going for several years until the Ultimate started to hate all life by constantly evolving against it. It's not a very pretty story to hear, as Doomsday has one of the saddest origin stories to ever exist. Before he became this mold of rocks and hate, he was just a humanoid infant who was left to starve and die on an unknown planet. Comparing villains and antagonists, DC Comics recently proved one thing in the comic book world. There have been several debates regarding which villain is the most powerful in the DC world. According to the comic book Superman number 20, via Screen Rant, Doomsday is the most powerful villain in DC Comics. As per the lore of the universe, Darkseid will be the only one who will remain standing even when the universe takes its last breath. Zack Snyder did justice in showcasing an iconic fight scene of Doomsday with Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And hence, it can be said that Snyder is simply a genius of a guy. So there you have it. Zack Snyder, 1. James Gunn, 0. Not that we are competing or anything, but it would indeed be fun to see James Gunn try something like this in the DCU in the distant future. On the other side, Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice received a rating of 6.5/10 on IMDb. The iconic 2016 film is available to stream on Max in the US. According to the comic books, the reason why Doomsday is more powerful than Darkseid is because he has the power to evolve. Doomsday is already unkillable due to the years of evolution and experiments done on him. Even if he dies, he could simply revive himself and evolve in a way that makes him stronger and stronger till he reaches the levels of a god. After killing Bertrand, the Ultimate went on a rampage through space by fighting gods, Green Lanterns, different races, and more. Doomsday became notoriously infamous when he was deemed as the killer of Superman in the comic issue The Death of Superman. It's pretty common in hit TV shows or sitcoms for the actor everyone expected to skyrocket to fame to surprisingly fade from the spotlight. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Take Euphoria, for example. Many thought Alexa Demie was destined for long-term stardom, yet it was Sydney Sweeney who ended up stealing the spotlight. Ty Burrell, who won hearts in Modern Family as the goofy dad, but he's surprisingly great at playing bad guys too, and fans want more of it. Ty Burrell may be best known as the lovable goofball Phil Dunphy from Modern Family, but anyone paying attention could tell from the start that this guy can act. Sure, comedy was his sweet spot, but Modern Family occasionally hinted that Burrell's talent went far beyond just cracking jokes. The same goes for Ty Burrell from Modern Family. While he's a comedy genius who's clearly proven his acting skills, he's rarely ventured beyond comedic roles and has largely stayed out of the spotlight in recent years. So why hasn't he explored more dramatic or diverse roles post the hit sitcom aired? Despite teasing his range, fans have been craving to see him tackle more serious roles. But instead of diving headfirst into Hollywood after Modern Family wrapped, Burrell chose a different path, one that led him home. After over a decade as Phil Dunphy, he decided to hit pause on acting to focus on his real-life family. He hasn't disappeared entirely. He voiced yet another dad in Fox's animated series Duncanville. He also popped up in the 2010 films Fair Game and Morning Glory, and even joined the Muppets in Muppets Most Wanted in 2014. But Burrell made it clear his priority was spending time with his loved ones. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake was enough proof of how much he can act as the bad guy. More on that in a bit. Much like Bryan Cranston, who went from sitcom dad in Malcolm in the Middle to the unforgettable Walter White in Breaking Bad, fans are hoping to see him make a much-needed comeback. Fans are hopeful that if Ty Burrell decides to return to acting in a big way, he'll channel the same energy that made him so memorable in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Many people might not be aware of this, but before Modern Family, Burrell had a solid streak of playing jerks, and honestly, he was fantastic at it. I played a lot of villains in film and my features lend themselves toward that, so I got turned down for a lot of leading man parts for me being menacing looking. If you knew me, I'm the biggest wimp that ever lived. I played an evil corporal in Evolution, a true jerk in a remake of Dawn of the Dead, a really mean boss in Good Company. Whether it was his role as a selfish scumbag in Dawn of the Dead, a sleazy boss in Good Company, or an arrogant anchorman in Morning Glory, Burrell had a gift for making bad guys oddly entertaining. His Dawn of the Dead performance especially stood out. He was such a memorable villain that you couldn't help but love to hate him. Fans agree as well. Here is what some of the Redditors are saying. Considering how effortlessly he played those roles, it's surprising he hasn't been cast on more dark and devious characters since. Phil Dunphy was iconic, no doubt, but Burrell's got a talent for being bad, and fans are ready to see him embrace it again.